What's happening, guys? Speo here with the Voice of Reason, and today we're gonna take a look at a KOAN-ish Punchy snare drum. We will not be taking a look at how to mix drums in general. We will probably do that in a later video, you know, with sidechaining and stuff. But today we will be focusing on how to get from this drum sound to that. Okay, let's get to it. So let me just delete all the stuff and create a Kong drum designer. Now I like to use a single Kong with multiple mix channels for my drums. So assuming you've got your kick on the drum 1 going out the master output, you'd select the second drum and select the output 3/4, create another mix channel under the utility tab and just route the 3/4 outputs of the Kong into the input of that mix channel. It's important that you use a separate mix channel for this snare because your kick and head won't sound any good if you run them through the FX chain we're gonna set up. But more on that later. Now, for a good sounding snare, you need a good sample. In this tutorial, I will be using a sample out of the greatest dubstep hits by Prime Loops. They have some decent snares in there. For this tutorial, we will be using the Gladiator 6 snare, which has a lot of body to it, which is very important for this kind of snare. If it's just noise, it won't work that good. So be sure you've got a decent sample with some body to that. Okay, now first off, you want to cut off the end to make it more punchy, the end of the snare sample. So hit Edit Sample on the NN Nano sampler you've created in the Kong, sorry, and just bring the end slider to somewhere about here. So cut off the ending that's there, and you can hear you've got a very punchy kind of sound going already. But we'll make that even punchier and achieve this by some effects. But first off, we will run it through a Scream 4 distortion to kind of alter the way it sounds a bit. Set it to tape, bring the damage all the way up and the speed too. And then just bring the compression down to about 16. So that doesn't sound that punchy anymore, but has this nice kind of sound to it. We will restore the punchiness later on with a compressor. But first off, we will run it through an equalizer and then just set the first parameter to 200 Hertz and boost this parameter. Boost it a lot, like 12 dB, and just give it some more Q, reduce the Q to about 2.5. So you got this nice hill here, which just gives it even more body, and then turn on the high shelf and give it some highs too, just with a gain of about 7.4 dB. So we got some of those. I will not be playing the sample now because it probably clip like hell, but we will fix this using a compressor with harsh settings, so a ratio of about 16:1, bring down the threshold to about -30 dB and the attack all the way up, the release all the way down, and we get a nice punchy snare, which is still clipping, so just bring the output gain down so we're not clipping anymore. And there you go. That's basically all there is to the insert effects. Now, what you want to do to achieve even more, punch, is using parallel compression or New York compression, I think it's called. And just create a compressor as a send effect to your mixer with the harshest settings possible. So infinite to 1 ratio, -36 dB threshold, full attack at 50 milliseconds release. And in the mixer, just turn it on the snare channel. And that just gives it some more punch. Bring down the fader so we're not clipping, and just balance it nicely so we still get some sound, because the send effect is it's just punch. So if you turn that up too far and bring that down too much, you only get like a clipping kind of sound, so we don't want that. Bring it down to about -20 dB and then just bring the fader up so we're not clipping, but we're getting the loudest possible signal. Okay, so that's it for your snare, for your punchy snare, that is, because for an epic feel or something, you could layer it with a kind of big snare sample and lots of reverb. So let's just do that. Select the third snare and select another output. 5-6 is a good output too. Well, they're all the same, but still. Then create another mix channel and hook that one up. Just select 5 and 6 and into the input. And then we'll just look up a kind of big snare sample. That one's nice. And then just drown that in reverb. So really just with a dry wet of about 85, bring down the decay a bit so we don't get too much. 42 is a nice value. And in the mixer, just high pass it, so we're not interfering with the 200 Hertz punch of the, of the punchy snare. And then in the Kong, just to put them both in the same link group. So here on the side, just select E, for example, for both of them. And now every time one is triggered, both are triggered. Adjust the levels. Yeah. And there we have our big punchy KOAN soundish snare. I hope this tutorial was useful. If it was, drop a like, that would be much appreciated. Anyway, my name's been Speo, this was the Voice of Reason. Have a good one of whatever you're having.